How are
It's
you
so
guys?
good to see you.
Good to see you as well. How have you guys been?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Long
Um,
summer?
long summer.
How
Pepper got big.
Have you
about
seen her?
She's big, big girl.
Oh,
big and strong and beautiful?
Yes. How old is she now? I forget.
8 months.
8 months. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, she just turned 8 months.
Yeah, she's big. Um,
Yeah.
how was like the trip and everything, like your vacation?
Good. I mean, she forgot everything you taught her. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we just spent so much time together, the three of us. It was wonderful. I think we all really we're a good unit. Now we just need you to make it official. But she's really good and she's very responsive to both of us.
She got very good at swimming in the lake and retrieving frisbees and
Yeah,
baseballs, and
yeah.
so
She had a good puppy summer.
Good.
You've taken on a ton more responsibility there, haven't you?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, we're more training. We're getting more employees. I'm out more now with sessions and everything. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's all very exciting. Um,
good.
and
Did Pepper remember everyone there?
yeah, and she saw me. She was getting all wiggly and everything. She was just like her first day here. She was just like, oh my gosh, we're back here." And she was
I'm
just
back.
yeah, super excited.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah. But other than that, I mean, she's been doing good. I think like one time because we have a few puppy head starts here, and we were getting the treats ready, and then she just like started like getting crazy. She thought I was like she's getting trained and everything, so she was going crazy. But she still remembers everything, like how everything runs here and everything like that. She's playing with the big boys, big girls now, so she's doing good. What else? So yeah, that's how she's been doing here. And I know you were interested in like you said, moving to the next step forward in her training, which I think she'd be really good at. But do you have any questions or anything else you wanted to share with me about Pepper? Like, because I know you said that she's getting stronger,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
she's getting bigger. But from what I saw, it's pretty much just this. She's pretty much the same, but like you said, just bigger and stronger now. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our biggest issue truly is the fact that she's strong and she's unfocused, and so the world, when we're out with her, she sees a million things that she wants, right? And
Birds, squirrels, garbage, other dogs.
right,
Yeah.
and she's strong where we're struggling to keep her close to us, and not throwing our arms out and that stuff like that. And we she gets a lot of walks because, well, that energy, especially on the weekends when she's not with you, or she was at um not a training facility, but mostly a daycare when Kate and I had to work, where she could be with other dogs and socialize and burn off a lot of that puppy energy. Um, but we just need her. We need her to start getting that focus that's required of a city dog, so that when we have her on the leash, she's totally at ease and focused on us, and ideally get her to the point where she's voice trained, especially when we're up north, so we don't have to have her on the leash, but we don't have to worry about her just taking off down the road because she saw a squirrel.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Cool. I think.
Can I just say, Enrique, I mean, before you go on, we are so fortunate. We don't have any behavior problems with her. I mean, she is the best dog. I mean, who you see, I don't really know who you see when she's with you, but she is so sweet. She just wants to be with us. I mean, we almost called her Shadow before we brought her home, but we do call her Shadow now because I mean, she's just always where we are. So we're not asking you to correct any, knock on wood, any behavioral things. It's just helping her be the good dog that she is all the time.
Yeah. Um, yeah. For behavior stuff, we don't see anything serious or anything. She's just you're typical. You're just goofy, happy-go-lucky girl. Uh,
Yeah.
because when a dog is growing, if anything were to change, it would either have already happened or maybe still yet to happen, because from around 6 months to like a year, right? Usually when we get behavior cases, they'll say, my puppy was great. But then obviously from like a trainer's perspective, we might have noticed certain signs. But Pepper's been with us for a while. We haven't noticed anything. But some puppies, you'll notice something's off with them. They're not doing anything crazy, but you know something's off.
Yeah.
6 months hits, exactly 6 months. Then everything changes. Like they become who they are, and they do, like, you know, they start guarding, they start, you know, being aggressive, they start doing whatever, you know, that's, you know, going to be them forever. So, like you said, I haven't, like, and same thing you said, I haven't seen anything from Pepper like that. She's, you know, good food drivers. Everything is pretty much normal from her, from what I've seen. But like, you know, anything it would have already happened, or we would have already noticed something.
I do have to say that one of the things that she's developed. I mean, we live a quiet life, and when she hears a noise that she doesn't recognize, you know, she jumps up, will bark, right? She's kind of doing the John Belushi thing, like, where's it coming from? What's going on? And then we simply acknowledge that we heard it too, and everything's okay.
We
and then
thank her.
and then she settles down. So that's been a change in the last couple of months.
She's more, startled or protective. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what either. But then she settles down. When people come into the house, she'll bark at them initially, and then, you know, after a few moments, everything's copacetic, and then she's the, you know, playful person. But, you know, it's almost like her space and her energy got invaded, and she's not happy about it until she becomes happy about it. So, but never aggressive, more just aware and alert.
Got it. Yeah, that's normal. It's all dogs have that territorial in them, because what can happen is, you know, you have to knock on the door, dog goes bark, 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 but then you open the door and like, oh, human, okay, and they get all wiggly, right? That's usually like what's probably happening with Pepper. But it's good that at least she's stopping, like when you kind of tell her to stop, she kind of chills out, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, yes.
Oh yeah, that's normal. Owners like it. Like you said, it provides you with a sense of like security in the home. Like she's letting you know something's happening. You acknowledge it, like you said, and then she stops, and then all is good. So good. Anything else?
Really, that's it. It's been it's been a fun summer with her, watching her grow up and just seeing her becoming body aware. I mean, she understands what her body can do, right? I mean, you know, she now knows that she can easily jump up into the back of the truck without even having a running start. And she knows that she can stand up on her back legs and I'm 4 feet tall and I could be on the counter. So she's much more body aware than she ever was. So
good.
That's it.
Nice. So I'm trying to think.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah. So it depends. So for Pepper, what does life look like? So I know you guys do the walks and everything, and then your goal is to have her, like, you know, run around. Sorry.
It's okay.
Try flipping the bowl. He got scared, I guess. German Shepherd. Oh, you know, the standard like structured walk that's focused and everything with you, right? And then, like, obviously you said like running around, but then calling her to come back, having that off-leash control. So what I'm asking is, because I'm trying to see what program would suit best for you, and I'll run through the programs and everything and explain like why this program, or what this program is good for, what this program is good for, and what this program is good for, right?
Perfect. Thank you.
So first we'll get into, because she's on, you still use like just a regular collar, right? The flat collar to walk her?
No, we use the choke collar, not a prong collar, but like a choke collar.
Okay. Oh, the slip leash, as a slip leash?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So Pepper did the food stuff, right? So all that is, you know, positive only. So positive only has a low ceiling, right? Sometimes if Pepper's thinking like maybe she sees like the water, like the lake, right? One sec. Maybe she sees like the lake, but then you're like, Pepper, come here, and you have the turkey, whatever you have, trying to bribe her. She's probably going to be thinking lake or food. I'm gonna choose the lake, so she's gonna go. So
Yeah.
the food has a low ceiling. That if depending on your environment and everything, what's up? Oh, depending on like the environment, it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But what else? So food stuff was good for things we like to see, like creating the foundation of certain commands. So she has the foundation already of place, sit down, stay, and a little bit of recall, a little bit of not. We didn't do that much heal, but we started to shape it a little bit here and there. So after positive only, that's like the first, I guess, phase when you're raising a puppy. The next steps are these other tools, right? Maybe you do the gentle leader, right? Gentle leader is a good tool to use for control wise, because once you control the head, you control the body, but you can't fix certain behaviors like pulling, right? That will never be fixed because there's no correction. All you're doing is just pulling her. That's all. After gentle leader is slip leash or slip chain, which sounds like what you guys are on now.
Yeah.
These tools are good because they provide a sense of you go forward, it chokes, so it's uncomfortable, but then they should retract. Issues with prong, Donovan, if you're gonna hype him up, collar Bishop up because he's gonna start. Oh, got it. Slip leash and then the choke chain. The issue with that is, and you're probably seeing a Pepper, is that it's not enough, right? So after that, and then you can train a dog on slip leash and slip chain, right? But then, like you said, once you take that leash off, you've lost all control. It goes out the window. But they might be good on it if they're responding well to it. Then after that is prong collar. Prong collar is obviously those spiky ones that go that chokes and everything. So that's a good tool. It's a good step forward because now you can give a harsher correction for your dog. So dogs are physical animals. They thrive on physicality. So it's their language. So that's why they understand what it means to give like a pop or like a leash pop, or when it tightens, they know what it means. So if Pepper was at the dog park and maybe she was playing rough with like an older dog, and let's say that older dog wasn't having it, wasn't liking it, how do you think that older dog would address Pepper?
Nip at her.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Nip, and then Pepper's like, oh, okay, probably play with someone else, right? There was no, like the older dog didn't say, hey, no, leave it, sit, stop. They didn't say anything. They didn't give a treat or anything like that. It was just, you do this, you're going to get this. And Pepper understands. Pepper will leave. That's how dogs usually do it. So they understand it right away. So prong collar gets you that control, but remember, just slip chain and choke chain or slip leash. Sometimes it's not enough. So usually with like the labs, pitties, golden retrievers, funny enough, because they're all happy-go-lucky and intense dogs, that if you're like, let's say you give like a correction, like a leash pop, right, to kind of snap her or to help her disengage from something. Let's say your hardest is like a 7 out of 10, but she's at a 9, right? You're never going to override the brain, and you're never going to break that engagement or have her disengage from whatever she's focused on. So that's where issues can come up. But like I said before, with these tools, you can train certain commands, but then once you remove the tool, you take the leash off, again, you've lost all control. 1 second. Let's see here.
Multitasking.
All right. So we have all these tools. All these tools, what I'm trying to say is that they all have ceilings. So positive owner is like 20%. Prong collar is like maybe like 50 to 60%. So then the next tool up brings us to e-collar, so electronic collars. I think we briefly talked about electronic collars our last Zoom call.
And you thought she was too young at the
Yes,
time?
that's correct.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
So electronic collar, from what we've seen, from what Jesse has been seeing for many years, is the only tool that can get uh, owners to have at least 90 to 100% of reliable obedience. Um, it's physical, so it's their language. The common term is shock collar, right, which is old school. It's electronic collars. Jesse calls them electric, but they're not electricity, so it's not flowing through the dog's body. It's a
Right.
collar with two contact points that just go at one spot, right? So if I was holding it on my hand and I was pressing it and kept going up on the numbers and creating stronger stimulation to myself, you start to see my thumb twitch, right?
Right.
Same technology that's used on our collars is what's used on or during physical therapy. Doctors will use a TENS unit or like stim to contract the muscle if they have torn muscle to like massage it. So that same technology is what we use on the dogs. The way they teach it or introduce it to the clients is very similar to how we introduce it to the dogs. Therapists would say, let me know when it's too uncomfortable. As they keep increasing it, client says, okay, that's a little uncomfortable. They lower it 2 levels down, and then they let the machine do the work. Very similar to how we do the training with the electronic collars. What else? Our brand, the brand we use is called Dogtra. Um, this brand's collars have 127 levels. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127, right? There are other brands out there that maybe go to 10. So think of the power outage of 10 equal to 127. We just have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog's personality, the size, the breed, the scenario we're in, the environment, all these other things. Because with that 10 level e-collar, the issue would be 5 is making Pepper yelp. It's too high. But then 4 is too low. She's not feeling it. Well, then you're stuck. It's either you're having a dog that's not listening or your dog is yelping every time you press a button, which is both not good.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
us, if 50 is too high, 40 is too low, 45 or 42 or 43, we can be very specific. These collars are waterproof. The collar that you'll be getting for Pepper has a mile-long range. I don't think you'll be needing a mile, but you have that distance. They're waterproof. They're rechargeable. You don't need batteries. They last a long time. Very easy to use. Very simple. What else about the collar?
And you're coordinating commands with the shocking impact of the collar, right? I mean, you're teaching her how to follow certain commands, and if she's not, then you are reinforcing the command with the shock with the electrodes.
Correct. So for Pepper, or for any of our dogs, we teach, even if the dog has had training, we start over. We teach everything with the e-collar and leash. So the leash is like the guidance of doing, here's the little bit of guidance, and here's the e-collar. Once they give into it, or once they start to follow it, then the pressure goes up. So the way we train is pressure. We call it pressure training. So pressure on, pressure off. Pressure on when you're not complying. Pressure off once you've complied. So when we're teaching, right? Pepper will never know it's you guys pressing the button. So a common question would be, will Pepper hate us if we're shocking her, right? She won't know, right? Dogs don't see it that way. They think it's like the universe. It's just happening. It's just feeling. It's just happening.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
My parents are standing right here.
Exactly. So it's good. That's a good thing because there's no confrontation. There's no physical strength needed. There's no yelling. There's no like anything like confronting body language. There's no emotion needed. It's just simple. You press a button, she understands. That's all. There's no arguments, right? So if she's pulling and pulling and pulling, you're like, Pepper, stop, right? I'm not saying you guys do that, but like, common thing, owners would get frustrated, right? And then start yelling, or they're like, pulling, and they're like, I don't know what to do, right? All that is not needed anymore, because again, we're pressing the button. But yes, the e-collar is used to teach, starting low and everything. Once we have created a behavior, and then like say one day she's not, we say sit, she's not sitting, then we have the e-collar to make it happen. Because that's the most important. That's the most important part. Is that if you say a command, and she doesn't want to do it, and then you can't make it happen, well then she's like, oh, you can't make me sit. Okay. And then it transfers to everything else. Like,
Sure.
oh, I can't come to you when you call me. I can't do all these other things, right? So the e-collar is there to make it happen, and to create that consistency, so that when you say something, right, she knows, I know what's going to happen if I don't listen. I have to do it now in that split second. And this is, and the wonderful thing about it is it's off leash or on leash. You have that control. You have that that reinforcement right there. You can make something happen.
So do the dogs that you train, Enrique, do they have the e-collar on all the time?
Yeah, good. It's a good question. It's very common. It's on when you need it. So right now, if Pepper's just hanging out, and she's just chilling, and that it's going to be like this for like the rest of the night, then she doesn't need it on, because she's just, she's an angel right now, right? But then outside, and this is, you're outside on walks, you'll have it on. And this is after training as well. It's like a forever thing, right?
Yeah.
Now you're not going to be pressing that button all the time, because we're doing that at the beginning. The e-collar will be on. The reason why it'll be on all the time on our walks is because we can't predict what's going to happen on this walk. So if we're walking on a busy street, and like say a car crash happens, and you get startled and Pepper gets startled, and maybe she books it, and then maybe leash slips out your hand, or maybe she pulls it to the ground. We've heard a lot of stories. She's gone, right? We call that flight mode. She's running from something, and she's only thinking about getting away from it. When dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed, right? So Pepper come probably won't work in that moment, right? You're gonna need that remote and power to override the brain in that moment to make her do the 180 and come back to you.
Oh yeah, my mistress just called me. I got to go back.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Just
Correct.
a reminder.
Yes.
So funny story. So years ago, I used to go pheasant hunting, and we would hunt with dogs, and the dogs were trained to do a Z pattern in the cornfields wherever you were walking, and they had the old-fashioned electronic collars, but the dogs were being trained on voice command, and it was on a whistle. They hear the whistle, it was supposed to cut and go in a different Z pattern. But if they didn't, he'd give a second command. If the dog didn't move, you'd hear that ear call, and all you would hear is you said, yep, you would hear a yelp, yikes, and that dog would all of a sudden make that left turn immediately. Because it's like, oh, I got a command and I got to pay attention to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's gonna be very similar to how we do it. We have the verbal, right? Because that's a trained dog already. That dog knows this feeling, right? No matter what, no matter the power, I need to go back, right? Usually when dogs first feel it, they want to run away. They want to get away from it. So then what we're training Pepper to do is, hey, when you feel this, it means come to me. So that dog understands that, because that owner has done the work, they've done all the homework, and that dog knows what that means. Like, that's good.
Right.
So it's very similar to what we're doing. We're giving the cue. If it's not respected, if they're not responding, then pressure kicks in. But for that, definitely high power would definitely be needed, because hunting dogs and everything like that. But it's a good example there too. So yeah, that's why it would be on for your walks. What else? But again, if you're at home and she's just hanging out, then you don't need it. So it's like for the hunting dogs, once
That's
you go
really helpful. Yeah.
once you're hunting, it's on. But then let's say you're done hunting, then you can just take it off.
Yeah.
Right.
And the concept is a dog. I mean, Labradors are smart animals. I mean, as a breed, they're pretty.
Yes. Oh, I think I lost.
The whole idea is they're gonna be aged. The e-collar really for the emergency or for that one time where they just get really disfocused then?
I'm sorry, you were going in and out. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, no. What I was saying is that labs are smart animals, and over time, she's going to ingrain, she's going to adopt those commands and
Sorry, let me go back.
I'm sorry, my wife's pushing all these buttons here. There she is. um, but the e-collar is there simply for those moments where she either forgets or something else overrides her, the example that you use. And so it's there but she should learn quickly.
Yes. All dogs learn very quickly with the e-collar. Um, yeah, so it's there in case. So like my dog, Jesse's dog, we've done all the work, right? We still have the e-collar on all the time on our walks, and we press the button maybe like once a month, two times the most a month, because just in case, like it's there because maybe something happened that month, right? So you're not going to be pressing it all the time. Like you said,
Yeah.
your dog knows these commands. It's just in case you have that. Any other questions so far?
Well, and Kate had a question about us.
Oh, so I know you're going to tell us this, Enrique. So how do you transfer the training that you do with Pepper to us? How does that happen?
Yeah, so another wonderful thing about eCall is that it's very transferable. In the beginning, obviously, the training will be tied to the facility, the handlers, and then me. So with the programs that are taking place here at the facility, we have follow-up lessons. So we had these follow-up lessons at Oz Park is where we operate now, because Oz Park has literally everything: off-leash dogs, rollerblades, bikes, scooters, baseball games, parties, everything's there. So we still operate at Oz Park for our follow-up lessons because that's where we do our in-persons as well. So when I work with couples in person, partner number one goes first, right? The first person to go usually has to do all the hard work. Once we've gotten some consistency and they're good, then we hand it off to partner number two. And partner number two takes the leash, and it's like they didn't have to do anything because all the work was done. Because when partner number one, let's say, presses the button on 30, right? And partner number two presses the button on 30, it's still 30, right?
Yeah.
There's no, well, she's stronger than him or he's stricter than her. There's none of that because 30 is 30 for everyone. So you get this. So for those follow-up lessons, what we're doing here is transferring all the commands to you, letting her know that, hey, I know you feel this at the facility with Enrique, Andy, or whoever's working with her. But then once she feels this, right, because dogs never forget this training. It's just like you said, just a reminder. They just need to get reminded. That's all. We don't need to reteach something. So once she feels this, she'll know, oh, I know what to do, right? Because if you watch our follow-up lessons, you watch the first follow-up, owner has never practiced anything because you're going to get videos as well on how we train and what you'll get introduction videos, so like the commands she learns, how she took to the e-car for the first time, and everything, how to practice. Owners sometimes will feel uncomfortable practicing with the video itself and they'll wait for that follow-up. Come follow up, they start and the dog just does everything like they've been doing here. It's very smooth. So there's nothing to worry about for transferring the commands to you. We've never had issues with dogs. If anything, it's usually dogs who have behavioral issues that will struggle a little bit, that have anxiety, because once the owner comes into the picture, that's when the behavioral issues start to pop up. Because we had a board and train one time come in for reactivity, and they were here for 2 weeks, and that dog did not bark once at all. Then we do the follow-up lesson, and then that's when we saw the behavior pop up.
When the owners were there.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
But it's still the same result. Here we taught the foundation. We had to give them the tools to stop the activity. They would walk because they were in like a quiet town area. So they would take the dog for a walk, and through the window, the dog would see a person and explode. A house through the window, he'd see a person, right? Our follow-up lesson, he was still reactive right away, but then once we started training, it started to definitely calm down a lot. Like he was just quiet at the end and more relaxed because as soon as the owners came, he was just like chest high and everything. Like he was very a different dog. Uh,
Wow.
Pepper, I don't assume that at all. She's fine. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about, because that's a common thing. We'll hear clients say, yeah, trainer was good, but then the trainer left and then the dog was bad. So it was like confusing for them and it was very
Yeah.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, I know you're going to say this anyways. Tell us about like the different options there are, like how many days always with you, or she's with you during the day, then she comes home. Like, I honestly don't understand all the different
Yeah.
choices.
So we have the daycare and train. We have board and train, and then one-on-one, like in person. So for the daycare and train, it's going to be very similar to what Pepper was doing for her puppy head start program, where you drop
Mhm.
her off, she gets trained, you pick her up, and then you come back another day.
Yeah.
The daycare and train is 5, 10, 15, 20. So think of these these programs like, so the 20-day, the maximum, right? I mean, you can obviously get more 20 days. No one's ever done it, but I guess it's possible. But the 20-day daycare and train is for everything, off leash control. So I'll go back. So the 10-day, think of the 10-day as I walk my dog around the block. Um, they're off leash in a certain area. I need recall, and then I go home. The 15-day is I walk my dog around the block. I need recall, and then maybe I go to a patio. I need my dog to not move for an hour, 2 hours. And then the 20-day is everything plus off leash hiking like every other weekend. So it just depends how much control you're looking for. With any of these programs, so like for the 10, 15, and 20, or except the 20, so 10 and 15, she will learn heel. So our heel is like a walking command. Our version of heel is very strict. Our heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if you take 5 steps with Pepper, Pepper takes 5 steps. If you take 10, she takes 10. If you come to stop, she has to automatically sit, no words said, a loose leash in any environment. That's our heel, right? So she'll learn heel, stay, place, which is go to your bed, don't hop off and don't move. Down, sit, and then the come when called command, recall. All these 6 commands are taught with e-collar. You'll get a 1 hour long video of me introducing these commands to her, introducing the collar to her. So you're going to see how she took to it. You're going to see how we teach these commands, how we practice these commands, and all that fun stuff. And so that's the 10-day. So that's technically 2 weeks. So you get another 1 hour long video of us doing long leash work with her, a 30-foot long leash where we hold the end of it and then we do all the commands again. So now what we're doing there is advancing it, letting her know that, hey, yeah, 30 feet to make mistakes, make them, right? Uh,
Mhm.
after that, after that video, if you do the 15-day, you get another 1 hour long video where we do for that third week, we do our training sessions with the long leash dragging in the playpen with dogs playing. So we're training her in a play group. After that, the fourth week, we do our video at, what is the park called? Corner Park, where we teach her how to
Yeah.
apply this in, real world scenarios or like Home Depot. Mobile, we like to do at Horner, where we're practicing for that, real life stuff. And then we'll also touch a little bit of like off leash training in the playpen. Here and there, we've done. I think we did an off leash video at a park before, but it just depends like how the dog is responding to the e-collar, like where they're at in their training. But those are how the programs are laid out. like I said, you'll still learn all these commands in any program. It's just how much your control you're wanting, or like how much practice you want, or how long you're wanting her here to for us to train her.
Mm-hmm.
That's daycare and train. So that's dropping her off and then picking her up. With these programs, you get follow-up lessons. So a 10-day, you get 3 hours, and then with every other program going up, you get more hours of follow-up. I think like I forget how many, but I think it just keeps going an hour, an hour, an hour after that 10-day.
And follow-up means we're with you and you're working with Pepper, Gil, and me.
Yeah, I don't work with Pepper for the follow-up lessons. It's all verbal instruction. So let's say our follow-up lesson, we scheduled it for Mondays at 1 p.m., for example. So we
Mm-hmm.
meet at Oz Park, right? You would bring Pepper, and then what I would do is just verbally coach you through everything so that you're doing it yourself, right? I wouldn't touch Pepper at all.
Great.
You're coaching us.
Correct, yes. And then we can meet for an hour because we don't go by sessions, we go by time. So if you get 3 hours of follow-up, we can do it just an hour, or sometimes owners want to do 2 hours just to get all the commands in, and just to, it's just a kind of personal preference there. If you're getting overwhelmed, we can cut it, just how you want to go about it. But you get your videos and everything. So, you can watch them, see how she does it. And then once you get your first video, you can go ahead and practice right away. You have the option to practice, or, I've had owners just wait until the follow-up lesson and then they start practicing, because you can schedule the follow-up lesson anytime you want, 3-day minimum. So as when you do your 3 days, at least 3 days, you can schedule the 1 hour follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it in like the middle of her daycare and training program, or like, towards the end, or right away, up to you. Personal preference there as well. What else? Any other questions about the daycare and training?
No, but I think you're ready to move on. And so that was my question. When do dogs use board and train over daycare and train?
So the board and train, think of, so think of 4 weeks. So it goes 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. Think of the 4-week program equal to the 20-day program.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it done shorter. So for minimum for you, I'd say 2 weeks for Pepper. That's the minimum. And she stays here overnight. She gets trained first thing in the morning, and she's getting trained all day, all night till around now. So like before you, I was doing a few sessions there. So she's getting all day training. It gives us more time to do more stuff with her, so we can take her to Home Depot on the weekends, or like, on a slow day, we'll take her to Home Depot training walks, applying the obedience there, because it's good that the obedience is good here in the facility, but it doesn't matter if it's bad outside. So we're going to be doing that a lot. She's doing duration work, and this is the same thing with the daycare training. Sorry, duration work where she like rests on these beds in the middle of the facility, where a lot of activities going on, the dogs are moving, play groups are going. She has to learn to rest on this bed, accept that a lot of activity is going on, and she needs to be in a resting state. So usually it's on availability. So like if a client is like, I'm going out of town for 3 weeks and I want to do a board and train, they do the board and train. But if like a client's like, I don't have the time to meet consistently 6 times for the in-person program, but I do have some time to do follow-up lessons, but I do need daycare, they just do the daycare and train, right? Does that make sense? Like why they choose board and train?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
What's it like for the train and board? How is it for the dog, in your experience, to reconnect with the owners? Because if we're out of the picture for 3 or 4 days and you've become
3 or 4 weeks.
Or 3 or 4 weeks, excuse me, and you've become the alpha to that dog, you and your other trainers, do the dogs have any problems reintegrating back into the home?
Yeah. I've never seen it. We've never heard of it.
Yeah.
owner comes in and then the dog's super happy. We had a board and train that was here for 4 weeks. The mom was out of town for work. The dad was in town. So like every week, I think like Mondays, I think he would stop by, just take his dog for a walk, drop her off, and then leave. So you can still you can still visit whenever you want.
Sure.
But I've never seen it become an issue where there was a problem, the dog getting acclimated back into the home.
Okay.
The only time we did have an issue was a dog going back to their old daycare. So a dog came here and took like 3 or 5 or 7, no, I think like a week until, because she was slowly progressing, getting acclimated to the environment in the facility. But she was super stressed, like snapping at dogs, sometimes snapping at the handlers, but she was like, I don't know what's going on. Then like by the end of her first week, she was being playful. She opened up a lot and she was playing with dogs. And it was funny because she's like this little cute like doodle and she's like, no, no, right? But then she opened up and she was playing really well. They took her to another, then they picked her up and they took her to another daycare the day after. And then a handler was like, stuck her hand, because the dog was doing this. And then the handler put their hand in front of her and then she snapped and bit the handler, right? Because it was so many changes happening. It was like
Yeah.
new environment, new training, new people, all this
Two
happening.
dogs. Yeah.
And then we'll pick you up on this day. She's like, okay, I'm gone. Oh, we're back here. These dogs are in my faces. These people are being super like, Pancakes is back. Pancakes is back. And she's like, well, I don't know what's going on. And then she bites. Right? So that dog just had a little trouble getting acclimated to environments quickly. So she needed more time, but the handlers there, I think, has failed to recognize her being uncomfortable and just not, leaving her alone. So then that results in a dog bite. So that's kind of like handler error there. But that's the only time that I've seen.
Okay.
And Enrique, you said that if we did board and train with Pepper, you would think she'd need 2 weeks. But if we did daycare and train, based on what we've told you about how we want, her to be trained, do you think the 10 days, the 15 days, what do you think?
I think that 10 days would be good. 10 days is
Well, I heard you say that the length of time is really dependent on how we want the dog to be with us and the kind of control that we want over the dog. So,
minimum 10 days, minimum 2 weeks of what you're looking for.
Got
right.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good, a dog has done 15 before, and I do notice like a more, I'd say, it looks more, what's the word? You can see why, like how you can see the difference between just 5 days, like of like advancing the obedience and also like having that much follow up, having many more follow up lessons with the owners is very good too. Like an owner right now, I think she just bought a 5 day just to see how it went, and I think she was going to buy another 5 day, or I don't know what she plans on doing, but yeah, minimum 10 days. For the board train, minimum like 2 weeks, I'd say.
Okay, that's helpful.
And is the best scenario where, like, let's say we were doing the 4 week, it's 4 consecutive weeks, or is it 4 weeks that you can have spacing in between for the animal? Like if we did 2 weeks and then we went off to Wisconsin with her for a week, right? So she's with us. Clearly, we're trying to enforce the training, and then she comes back and she does another 2 weeks. So, like, what's your preference as a trainer? Would you like them having just consecutive days all in one, or does it matter to you?
For Pepper, it wouldn't really matter. Now, for a dog who had, because we had a dog for a daycare and train that was very flighty, right? So every time we tried training her, she always just wanted to run away. She didn't care, wanted to run away. So that dog just needed exposure because she's associating this feeling here, and she doesn't want to be here. So the owner, we told the owner, hey, do the follow up, but you need to practice, and we need to give her a break from coming here because it's not She just needs exposure with you and at her home with e-collar. So they took a break, practiced, came back. She was 100. She was so much better, right? Because she knows that this is everywhere now. This has nothing to do with it. I'm okay. Pepper,
Yeah.
I don't expect that. I think whatever you do would be fine. If you split it to two, split the board and train in half, I think it'd be great if because then it gives you time to practice, and then you're like, hey Enrique, everything was good except like sometimes on recall, she did this, or maybe she wasn't finishing it completely, or maybe she was doing something else. Then like, okay, we'll still do our regular training sessions, but then we can focus more on something that you're having, so we can see if we can fix it. So there's no right or wrong answer there. It's just
Okay.
a preference, and how how your availability works there.
But
And
go ahead.
you felt.
But as a trainer, you're comfortable with either the 4 weeks straight through or breaking it up depending on schedule. Like that's not an obstacle. It's not making your job harder.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
And you would be the one to train her, right, Enrique?
Yeah. So in these videos, it'll be me. You'll see me training because I'll be training it, right? I'll be teaching her the commands. Once I've taught her the commands, then all the rest of the trainers here can start reinforcing and practicing it throughout the day.
Sure.
There are some days, obviously I'm not working, so then someone else has to kind of do the training as well. So I'm the teacher because all dogs are different teaching wise. Once you've taught it, you're fine. It's you can pass the dog off to the other trainers and they'll just keep practicing.
No, we know how good she is with you. We know how much she loves you. Just so knowing that you would be the one working with that's what we wanted to know. Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
So
And then, well, actually, one more thing. So, what's the availability for you? I mean, is this something that she could start next week? Is this something that we
You're
have to wait?
scheduling
Yeah,
3 months out.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the availability right now because it depends on what you're wanting to do. For the daycare and train, I think you can start as soon as possible. Right now, board and train, we have 3 board and trains. I think the maximum is 4, so we do have a slot open for you if you wanted to start that as soon as possible. I think you see them. They're like these 2 little ones right
Yep.
here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're back there and they're exhausted.
Yes. So those 2 are getting e-collar trained. Another one, we have a German Shepherd. She's like grayish, silverish type of German Shepherd. She's getting e-collar trained. So we do have a spot available if you want to start as soon as possible. But all that scheduling and booking will be done through with Kimberly. If you do
Okay.
book or daycare train, all that booking and billing is with Kimberly.
Okay.
That's what you're kind of leaning more towards, like the daycare and or the daycare train or board and train.
Yeah, I guess I'm inclined to do that, especially
Which
for.
one, honey?
I'm inclined to do the daycare and train.
Me too.
Yeah, because that allows us to reconnect with her, and every day we're very disciplined. I'd like to think. So I think Pepper's extremely smart. I'm also inclined to do the 4 week. To be quite honest, I mean that's the
The 20-day.
yeah, we're gonna get the most maximum pleasure out of the dog, and she's gonna get the maximum pleasure out of life. If we can all have a common understanding as to how it's going to work, because she's designed to please, but she's young, and so she just needs that focus. So I like the idea of you training her and then being able to stay connected with her and incorporate your training on an ongoing basis, so that she's getting it with us, and then she's getting it with you, and then she's getting it with us, and I mean that would be my preference. But Kate and I have to talk about it. And
yeah, I don't need an answer right now. So after this consultation, I'll go ahead and let him know that you're interested in the daycare and train or the board and train, or leaning more towards like the facility. Because if you guys were interested in person one-on-one, I would have to forward that information to Tina, because she does all my schedulings for like one-on-one in-person clients. So I'll send in Kimberly the information. and then she'll send you like the programs we talked about, the e-collar I recommend for Pepper, and you have two options there. Usually for daycare and boarding trains, because we sell the collars here, right? They'll just purchase it from us. We pull it off the shelf, we equip it, and we start training. It's mostly like for my in-person clients where they'll order it off Amazon, get familiar with it, and then come first lesson, they already know what it is about. So it's just personal preference there on what you want to do. Either purchase it through Amazon yourselves or purchase it through us, same price and everything. You already signed up on Ginger and everything, so
Yes.
you're already a step ahead.
Yeah.
So then after that, it's just booking and billing. That's how
Okay.
it start, because you're already a step ahead. Because we already had our vaccinations, and then you also signed the agreement, I believe. So you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No.
I don't think so. We're looking forward to this. We've been looking forward to this. As she's gotten bigger and stronger every day, we keep looking at her and said, Enrique's going to take care of you.
Thank you so much for your time. I know how long your days must be. Thank you very much for giving us this time.
We hope that you're enjoying your work, and we're thrilled to hear that you're being successful.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate your words.
Yeah.
If any questions come up, feel free to email me, and I'll answer your questions. But other than that, we'll keep in touch, and then Kim will send you an email, most likely tomorrow, with the programs and everything, and get you guys set up.
Sounds great.
Perfect.
Alrighty,
Thanks.
guys.
Good to see you
Have a good
again.
night.
See you guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.